Ah, darn it. The way they played yesterday and the day before, just, I don't know. They just got swept by the Reds. And how good is this Cubs team really? It'll be interesting to see what they do against the Dodgers. But again, it's a 4-game sweep now. Does this matter later on? Maybe. Or it could be a difference between making it to the playoffs and missing the playoffs. But they got swept by the Reds, who are one of the worst teams in baseball this year. And that seemed to be a big surprise. Now the Cubs, it's funny. When they win, they score a lot of runs. When they lose, they can't score at all. So they're inconsistent. And if they want to win down the stretch and towards the All-Star break, it seems like they're relying on their offense. And yes, John Lester has been great this year. It's really bounced back. It's definitely a National League possible Cy Young candidate. And you look at the rest of the rotation. Darvish has been ineffective and hurt this year. Tyler Chatwood walks everyone. Question is, how do guys like Kyle Hendricks, Jose Quintana, how does the rest of the rotation do? Since this Cubs team might go recently. The Brewers, look, they're a good team. I think they'll go to the playoffs. If they can get into the playoffs, I think they can be the type of team that can possibly win the World Series. They kind of remind me of the Royals, the Cardinals. I think they're still in it, but it is hard to say. It will be very interesting to say how long the Cardinals remain in it. But right now, I think it's between the Cubs and Brewers. And what the Cubs did this weekend doesn't get any easier playing against the Dodgers. So finally, let's go over to the National League West. So the D-backs, they were really, in May, went through a terrible, terrible stretch where I think they lost 15 out of 17 or something. I mean, it was that bad. 14 out of 16. They really went through a very bad stretch in May. Right now, I think they're 10 games over 500 again. Looks like the D-backs are back. And here's a big reason why. Paul Goldschmidt was such a big story for just going through a terrible slump, the worst slump of his career. His average is in the 260s. Goldschmidt's coming back. Hitting for power again. Goldschmidt's back. And they still do have injuries. A.J. Pollock has not played any during this great stretch. They are battling injuries, but if they can get healthy, they can get the rotation lined up. We know how good their bullpen is. The D-backs will be favorites to win the West. And the Dodgers, by the way, they're back. They just got Clayton Kershaw back again for the second time, and so far has not been back on the DL, so good for him. The rotation is still unhealthy, but they're hitting for a lot of power. They lead the majors in home runs in the month of June. Saw that on MLB.com today. They hit 7 home runs yesterday against the Mets. They're hitting for power. Their offense is starting to get going. The Dodgers are a team that can win the West. And right now, I think it's between the Dodgers and Diamondbacks. Since I think this division now, granted, they could both get hot, but this looks like a team that will send one of them in. The D-backs are starting to come back. They have basically got to where they were before they went on a terrible slump. So what version are the D-backs? I'm not sure. Will they go through another rough stretch going into the All-Star break? Or do they stay where they are or even get better and run away with the West? We'll see. And the Dodgers, look, they're not that team that they were for the first 6 weeks of this season. They had a lot of injuries. They missed a lot of their rotation. They are not that team. They're a lot closer to the team that they were the last 6 weeks and not the team they were the first 6 weeks of the season. So the National League West is very interesting. So now let's go over to the American League. So the American League, look, the Yankees, they just got swept by the Rays. I think that's fairly minor. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, stuff like that happens. They'll be fine. Just a minor series where they didn't play that well. The Red Sox, on the other hand, it's going to be between the Red Sox and Yankees, like it's been all year long. No other team in that division has a shot at the playoffs. The rest of the teams, the Orioles, Blue Jays, Rays, will be teams that make trades to contenders. So, who's it going to be? They're playing this weekend. again, I think these series are very important since I think whoever wins the season series is the team that wins the division. That's what it's going to be. And Luis Severino, the Yankees ace, has been great this year. I think right now is the favorite to win the American League Cy Young Award. I've been lucky enough to see his last 3 starts. Now, granted, it wasn't great against the Mariners. Was not at his top-notch level. But they swept the Mariners. And they're playing the Phillies this week. And the Red Sox. So, the Yankees might go through a stretch where they play 500 ball for a few weeks. That happens. There's going to be stretches like that. But it looks like Giancarlo Stanton is starting to get it going again. Had a 5-hit game yesterday. This might, and it was right around this time last year. I think I had right around 20 home runs. Hit 59. So this could be when Giancarlo just gets completely hot and just takes over. It could happen. Since it happened last year. So, any weaknesses the Yankees need to address? Well, this will be their postseason rotation ended today. Since Tanaka's hurt. Obviously, you have Luis Severino. Then you might have Sonny Gray, CeCe, Domingo Germán. That is not good enough to win a playoff series just on starting rotation alone. They will add a pitcher at the deadline. Cole Hamels, I've heard rumors of. They need that extra pitcher even when Tanaka comes back. Right now, and that's just what it's gonna be like. They're not perfect. They're not there yet. But they've played great so far. They've won 50 games so far. They're on pace to win over 100, as are the Red Sox. And by the way, Chris Sale yesterday threw 100 miles per hour. Struck out 13 batters yesterday and threw 100. Sale's once again been great. Is definitely an AL Cy Young contender. And then you have David Price, Porcello, Eduardo Rodriguez again. Like the Yankees, they have that ace, and they have other pitchers who are granted are not ace type, can still get it done. Question is, do they add any pitching? Do they add anything to their bullpen? An extra at bat? It's hard to see. Both of these teams, and just the way it's going to be, one of them's going to win the division, another one's going to have to play in that wild card game, and you win 107 games. Oh, guess what? The other team wins 109. You have to play in that wild card game against someone like the Mariners. Do you want to face James Paxton? And if, Paxton pitches great, you lose, that's it. That could very well happen. And they will likely face each other in the playoffs. 2 100-win teams, one of their seasons is going to win in the ALDS this year. And that's the way it's going to be. We've talked about it all year long. Whenever we've talked about the AL East, except for maybe the very first episode, it's been Red Sox, Yankees. That's it. All about the Red Sox and Yankees. It's been that way the whole year, and that has not changed. So the American League Central, that is all going to go to the Indians. The Indians, they've gotten hot recently, like we've been waiting them to do so. The question is, can they continue this pace, or do they play 500 again for a while? We'll see, but that offense has really gotten it going. That was their Achilles heel, say the first month of the season. It has gotten going. Lindor just hit his 90th year yesterday. Power has improved. Hit 15 the year they went to the World Series. Jose Ramirez, 23, tied for the Major League lead with JD Martinez. Hit 11 the year they went to the World Series in 2016. Both of them we knew they were really good hitters. They have added the power. The Indians' offense is definitely something to watch out for in the playoffs. They can win with their offense. And with those 4 guys, granted, it's not as good as the Astros. But putting Corey Kluber and Trevor Bauer, that's a really good 1-2 punch. One of the better 1-2 punches in the majors right now. I would not want to face those 2 guys in the first 2 games of ALDS. But the one thing they do need to add is their bullpen. Andrew Miller's been hurt this year, and they just need to add to that bullpen. It is something that was a strength on that 2016 team, where Andrew Miller seemed like pitched 2 innings every game, and they could win with a bullpen game, which is what happened when Trevor Bauer had that finger injury and couldn't pitch due to bleeding. This team cannot do that now. They don't have the bullpen to win in October, and that's something they need to address. All the teams, right? Red Sox, Yankees. One of them is going to win 100 games or close to it, and one of them is just going to play in that wild card game. It's going to happen. The Indians, they don't have to worry about it. The Twins, they don't seem like they're that good of a team this year. Not anywhere close to what they were last year. Tigers, Royals, White Sox, all rebuilding. Especially Royals and Tigers. This division is the Indians, and it may be theirs for a few more years to come. And we know they're going to be in the playoffs. The question is, do they face the Astros or the Red Sox or Yankees? We don't know yet. But this team's not as good as what they were last year. They have a major weakness. The question is, how well they fix it, and is it still a problem when they get to the playoffs? So the AL West. So right now, the American League West, the Astros, they just put together a 12-game winning streak. They were on a 12-game winning streak. Their offense is starting to come alive. It is really hot right now. They're no question the best team in the AL West. The Mariners really played with them. It was really close for a while. They're both, especially when the Mariners were at their hottest. Right now, the Astros are going to win the division. The question is, can they catch the Red Sox or Yankees for best record in the American League? And the question is, do they? And another question is the bullpen a weakness at all? Since yes, they have shown bullpen weaknesses so far this year. It happened last year in the playoffs, especially in the World Series. It very nearly cost them the World Series by blowing saves throughout the postseason. So the question is, how does the bullpen hold in the playoffs? That right now is their biggest concern. And so we know the Astros, we know about their pitching. I've talked about that before. With the Mariners, they're a good team. While their bullpen was a major strength for them, it has gotten worse recently. They blew that game against the Yankees. They blew a 5-0 lead against the Yankees, and I think they had a 10-5 lead or something against the Red Sox. They allowed 9 runs. That has been somewhat of a weakness for them recently. And we know James Paxton can win that wild card game for them. But the question is, what is your rotation after that? How does the rotation hold up past James Paxton? And that's one of their biggest concerns. So let's review quickly before we close. So then our East winner, if I had to pick, it is hard to say right now. I do not know right now. Could be the Braves, could be the Nationals, could be the Phillies. And like last year, when we knew the Nationals would win the division by Memorial Day, that is not the case this year. We are still waiting them. When you talk about, say, the NL Central, could be the Cubs. But the way they played this weekend, is that a cause for concern, or is it just a bad series? I don't know. I would not hit the panic button with them yet. Right now, I'd say the favorite's the Brewers. And then you go into the National League West. Is it the D-backs? Is it the Dodgers? Hard to say. Like both of them. The D-backs started off great. Went on a major slump. Got almost all the way back to 500. Now they're back up to 10 games over. The Dodgers started out 10 games under as recently as 6 weeks ago. They're 5 games over. They're tied right now with the Nationals for half a game out in the second wild card race. Both of those teams we don't know what they are yet. And when they come out, in terms of the Rockies, they're not a playoff team. You know, even when they were in control of the division, they showed they couldn't handle it. They can't pitch right now, which has been a major weakness for them throughout their 25-year existence. I don't think the Rockies are a playoff team. The Giants, it's hard to say when they get fully healthy. Maybe, maybe not. I just think the Dodgers and the D-backs right now are clearly better than the Dodgers. And if the NL East, if, say, the Phillies phase out or the Braves do, then it is possible the NL West could send 2 teams to the playoffs, and that looks like Dodgers and Diamondbacks. Maybe the Central We don't know yet. If one of these two teams gets on a run and wins 90 plus, that could be the division. It's hard to say right now. No division in the National League is a lock. In the East, between the Red Sox and Yankees, it is, again, we've talked at length about that. It will be one or the other. They're both going to win near 100 games. They could both win more than 100 games. They could both win more than 105. But the fact is, one of them will have to either face James Paxton in the wild card game, or B, either play each other or the Astros in the first round if the Astros take over the top spot in the American League. So either way, one of their seasons could end in the ALDS, or possibly, and this is certainly possible, end with just that one game wild card. So you have two great teams this year. One of their seasons going to end possibly before the ALCS, if not before the ALDS. And the Indians, that division race is over. They're the clear favorites. Even when they were barely above 500, they were still leading that division. And now you finally go to the AL West. The Mariners, well, yeah, they've overall played great. They just don't look like that championship team. We know they have James Paxton. We know that can win them a playoff game. The question is, how many playoff games can they put together? Are they like the Indians where you think they have that ace, and then I don't know about the rest of the rotation. I don't think they're going to get that far in the playoffs. They could possibly do what the Indians did. That is a possibility, but right now, they're not the best team in the AL West. The Astros are going to win the division. Their pitching's better than the Mariners. Their lineup's better, and right now, it could be possible their bullpen's better. But here we go. The Astros are going to win the AL West the way they played recently. No one's going to win the AL West from them. If we thought the Mariners would briefly, I don't think that's going to happen unless the Astros go on a cold stretch, which they've not done this year, and the Mariners pull off what they did earlier. But for now, it's going to be the Astros. So those two divisions of baseball. The Central, that's not even close. I think the AL West is second in determining which team's going to win the division. But what happens from there? So if I had to pick the playoffs right now, I think it would be D-backs. I believe they would play the Braves. And I think the Brewers, they'd play winner of the Phillies-Cubs. If I had to think who's going to win the National League, could be the D-backs. It's hard to say. Like in the National League, there's no great teams in the American League. Red Sox or Yankees could play each other in the first round, or one of them is going to play in the wild card game, and it's hard to say. I think it'll be Astros against either the Red Sox or Yankees. And the team, the favorite to win the World Series, the way they played recently, could very well be the Astros. Definitely a candidate repeat. So thank you for listening to this edition of the MLB Podcast. I don't know when I'll be back on again. Could be 3 weeks or 4 weeks, depending on what happens. But I'll try to record as soon as I can. And thank you for listening to this edition of the MLB Podcast. And by the way, as I finished recording, I made a slight mistake. So what happened is I recorded one portion. I think we'll leave off in the National League Central, I believe. What happened is I actually finished recording that, so I had to start a whole nother, say, 20 minutes. So one episode is going to be about 10 minutes. One's going to be 20. That's going to be 2 parts. I apologize for the inconvenience. And next time I'll try to record all in one episode. But anyways, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.